Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Noah Hall. This is Who Wants to Live Forever? Freddie Mercury statue in Switzerland. So I want to go and just jump right into it. These are my research questions. It's a lot about why this statue has gone relatively unnoticed during the current debate on statues. I think that's very interesting to note because the statue of an LGBT icon that during our current debate about what statues function inside of society is and who should be memorialized, it has not come up. Another question I had is, how does the statue memorialize Freddie Mercury? And does this method of memorialization mean the statue is more about Freddie or the people that connected with him? And how has the statue come to mean more over time, despite its initial meaning of Mercury, as far as with the question of how did sculptor Irene Sedlaka bring Freddie Mercury to life in this way? So I think one of the most interesting things we can talk about, first and foremost, is just how it memorializes him. And I think just what the statue is about is very important. I summed this up in my thesis statement, that the statue of Freddie Mercury in Switzerland, while having elements of being a personalized monument, represents a collective approach to remembering the late musician. He is remembered by not only the LGBT and AIDS communities, but by the rock and music culture movement due to its ties with them. I think that's very interesting to note the dual nature of this monument that you see on your screen right now. And it is that the statue sort of transcends the idea of what it means to be a statue, in that it encourages people to remember Freddie Mercury in the way that they want to remember him as opposed to just a certain narrative about who Mercury was, which is something we see a lot today concerning the political nature of statues. Going on. I want to mention a little bit of my theoretical framework. There's a lot of this, so I won't spend too much time getting into the jargon of it. And I want to talk about Roger Sessions' theory of musical cultivation. This theory more or less looks into the relationship between the composer and the listener, in that the composer creates an idea and the listener takes the idea and spins it for themselves. So these two ideas in music might be completely different from one another, something I think can be easily applied to the statue. I also want to go into Chris Perry's theory of physical cultivation and commodification of items. He more or less goes into when a person buys art or something, let's say a t-shirt or an album or biography of a person, it's like they spiritually own a part of that musician and create that same working relationship with them. I also want to go into the theory of monument as public art. This is by Waldemar Pudney. And that is that monuments can have a certain place inside spaces as public art, as people look into them and create this idea for themselves. This is how the monument and Mercury's music are related. And I want to also look at Veronica Giraldo's theory of referential iconicity inside of music. Now, what this is theory more or less, this is a fancy way of saying, how do people remember musicians and how do they look at them? Kind of in the same way that Roger Sessions did. So moving on from this, I want to move on to his, here, not sure what happened. The assumptions I made based on this, which is that the statue is visited that more than just fans of his music, despite crafter Irene Sedlaka looking at him and making a statue for, quote, an artist. His music and statue subsequently have come to mean more over time, just like his music, in both these theories of musical and physical cultivation. Now, these music and physical cultivation theories kind of meet in that they're both about how people spiritually connect with the items they consume, whether it be something through consumerism like a piece of memorabilia or through the music itself, and that the statue encourages overinterpretation by the people who visit it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my theories, just a connection I made that I was talking about before, and that is that sort of connection you see between music and consumerism, in that people have this connection to it. Because of this, the statue ultimately ends up being equally about the different meanings of Mercury and different people, as opposed to its personal meaning. something that the album Made in Heaven kind of got at, that it Made in Heaven was more a personal monument rather than a collective one. And because of the collective nature of the statue can never really be about Freddie Mercury himself. It kind of looks at him through the way others saw him, as opposed to how he would have wanted to be remembered, which is simply for his music. And I did go through quite a few methods. I know we're running short on time here. And that was a literature review. I did get to conduct an email interview with Jackie Smith. She's the head of the Queen fan club and also knows the band. And I also did some compensation of different interdisciplinary theories, which is what you saw beforehand. Alrighty, and just my general findings were that this statue, because of its collective nature and its encouragement of different ways of remembering, has escaped label notion. Now, this brings up many ethical questions about whether we should remember Mercury in this way, just because of who he was, because of the people who were devoted to him. And it really brings up that ethical question, should people be memorialized in the way other people saw him or how he saw himself? The statue was cultivated in the same way Freddie Mercury's music was cultivated. Initially may have been more for his music fans, but is remembered as just much more. I think that's the general finding of this, and the implications of that are just these large ethical questions about how people should be memorialized. And the statue was created of Freddie Mercury, but never for him in this way. I mean, sure, it may have been created for him, but it never continued to be that after, just because of these different cultivations. Statues can be interpreted in many different ways, whether positive or negative. By not encouraging and discouraging a certain negative, a statue may be able to escape remembrance faults. But again, this leaves large ethical questions for the study of art. So I just want to thank you for watching. I know this was a lot of information all at once, so I'd love it if you came and joined me in the Zoom session. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Have a great day.